So, since Fallout London kinda flopped, what we can do now is just go back and mod Fallout 4 a bit more. A lot of interesting mods have been piling up since the last episode, so we have a lot to take a look at. But before we dig into them, this video is sponsored by Aniba.com, a great digital marketplace with a constantly expanding library of best new games, gift cards, game points, a 24/7 live customer support service and much more. Also make sure to keep an eye out for the fantastic limited deals that happen from time to time, like the currently going Back to Gaming sale, with over 90% off for certain games, which is way cheaper than anywhere else. Follow the links in the description to register now and get your favorite games and other products super cheap, and have a fun time gaming. Okay, so since the last proper mod review, a very huge amount of mods has been released, and surprisingly a lot of different bug fix and performance mods are among them. So let's get through this fast so we can take a look at the more interesting mods. First of all, the interior NavCut Fix. This is a fix for an engine bug that causes workshop nav mesh cuts to persist throughout all interior cells. In other words, NPC pathfinding can be bugged because of this. The only problem is that this mod only works for the pre-next gen update game. We are still waiting for it to be updated so people with the newest game version can use it too. Then there is the Fallout 4 Particle Patch. This is a comprehensive graphical mod that added lots of files and makes things like fog, smoke or water, for example, glow less in the dark, and it also improves lighting in many different ways. It's actually funny because this mod we had it for Skyrim for many years now, but it only makes its way to Fallout now. Well, better later than never, I guess. The next one is Baka MaxPapyrusOps. This is also a mod inspired by its Skyrim version called Papyrus Tweaks NG. Basically this is a collection of fixes, tweaks and performance improvements for the script engine. So it does several things, like for example increase the max operations per task in Papyrus. Then we have a mod called Disk Cache Enabler. This time it's actually a port from Starfield, and what this mod does is using a cache file and that way reduce the disk read activity. This is especially useful for people who still have HDDs in their PCs and should increase performance a little bit. This mod only works with the pre-next gen version of the game too. Another mod is Community Fixes Merged. As the name suggests, this is a collection of fixes made by the community over the years. So in other words, this is a huge collection of small and also a bit bigger bug fix mods, as well as other fixes, balancing improvements and quality of life changes that have been requested by the community over time. It's quite a huge list of different things. A very huge list actually. Then there is a mod called Third-Person Behavior Fixes. This is actually just some animation fixes for the third person, usually related to sprinting and sneaking. For example, how the reload animation can get reset again and again if you do certain things. Another fix we have here is the long save bug fix. Apparently some people have this problem where saving a game can take a ridiculous amount of time. Never encountered this personally. I guess it can happen if you have a ridiculous amount of mods and also in-game entries and changes. So in other words, a really huge save file size. And also this mod has not been updated for the next gen update yet. And another fix mod, Armor Penetration Bug Fix. Well, penetration is always good. Sorry, a little joke on the side. So this mod fixes a bug where apparently unequipping or changing weapons can mess up the calculation and the armor penetration system does not work as it should. Although yes, this mod has also not been updated for the next gen version yet. And another one, Outfit ReDress Fix. This is to fix a bug where NPCs can revert to their default outfits if an item is added or removed from their inventory. And yes, also this is one of those mods that has not been updated yet and won't work with the next gen update. And yet another fix mod, Reload Fix. This is supposed to fix several reload issues, similar like in the third-person behavior fixes. For example, the reload animation resets when you change the perspective. Well, unfortunately, this plugin is also outdated and won't work with the next-gen update. Looking at the state of all those mods, it really seems the best idea to just downgrade to pre-next gen and stay there. This is also what I am doing. Okay, now that we've finally got this out of the way, we can take a look at some a bit more interesting mods. The first one is Roleplayer's Expanded Dialogue, or RED for short. This mod is all about talking the talk, and is a great way to spice up the roleplay a great deal. It adds a lot of new dialogue possibilities, over 350 new dialogue options, reworks how the speech checks work in this game, and much more. Most of the added dialogue options will be during quests, so you will profit the most of it if you actually start a new playthrough. So those new dialogue lines are always based on different conditions. For example, if you are wearing power armor, or if you are a cannibal, or based on your stats and perks. For example, if your int is below 4, you will get some special ooga booga dialogue, just like in the older games. The only thing is that those low intelligence dialogue lines are fairly limited, so it will be more like your character is talking normally for the majority of time, and sometimes has this Tourette-like spasms where they go into primate mode and say something completely weird. There is even the option to slip into the role of the lone wanderer or the courier, so that you will have fitting dialogue lines from the previous games. For that you will have to activate the special dialogue in this settings holotape. Another option you can go with to increase the roleplay even further is to use this mod with the awesome Crime and Punishment mod. You will have the option to select this addition during the installation, and basically this will give you some karma-based dialogue. So in other words, this mod really does a very good job at expanding the roleplay possibilities in this game, and that is actually worth a lot. Next we have an important gameplay mod, DirectHit. This mod completely changes how the damage calculation in this game happens, with the aim to make it more like in modern shooters. It does that by introducing true locational damage, because in the vanilla game all armor parts are actually being added to a total defense value, but with this mod the damage calculation happens 2 times, once against the body part that is being hit, and a second time against the armor piece that covers that body part. In other words, it will totally make sense to target unarmored body parts to maximize the damage output, and with that the whole VATS thing actually makes much more sense. Also, this mod calculates the damage on the engine level, unlike the better locational damage mod, which is a gameplay overhaul, and while it sounds similar, it does something completely different, like rebalancing damage or adding new features like headshots, bleeding, pain and so on. So in other words, those 2 mods are fully compatible with one another, and it is actually recommended to use them together for an even better experience. Another thing DirectHit does is completely changing how power armor works. Wearing power armor is supposed to feel like being a walking, unstoppable fortress. So with this mod you will take absolutely no damage until an armor part is destroyed. And once it's destroyed, only those body parts will be vulnerable to damage. However, the author of this mod also mentions that the power armor options included in DirectHit are fairly limited, and if you want the full experience, you should also additionally install their other mod called Bastion, a power armor overhaul. Oh yeah, and the next gen update is once again not supported by this mod. Another gameplay mod you could add is NPCs Use Items. This is a fairly simple concept actually. In the vanilla game the NPCs also sometimes use healing, and this mod basically expands what kind of items they can use during or also before combat. Basically the NPCs will now be able to buff themselves, just like the player does. There is also a nice MCM menu where you can restrict how the items are used exactly, restrict certain certain factions from using certain items and so on, so a lot of tweaking possibilities. So obviously all that will make combat a bit tougher, but also more realistic. It's actually funny to see NPCs use jet and then basically go into turbo mode. Also, another interesting aspect is that the items are not being added to the inventory of the NPCs to prevent too many items to be available in the loot, and that way keep the game more balanced. So an interesting mod indeed. And let's stay on the topic of items in combat for the next mod. But this time it's absolutely different, because it's called Chemfluence AI Combat Dynamics. Yes, the super smart word AI has been added to the equation. That word really makes people go crazy nowadays, because many people have no idea what AI actually is, and often imagine it with an image of some sentient supercomputers that will wipe out all organic life soon. But we gamers have known for a long time that an AI is simply a series of pre-programmed behaviors. This is exactly what this mod here is, an overhaul or more like an expansion of combat behaviors in this game. With this mod, the enemy combat behaviors will be a bit more complex and respond to certain factors, like weapon choice and cam usage, for example. NPCs with ranged weapons with scopes, for example, will try to keep their distance. Shotgun users will try to get close to maximize damage. Melee enemies will either try to flank you, rush and overpower you, or just become tanks and block all the incoming attacks. Cams further influence the situation by altering different stats. This mod obviously goes hand in hand with the NPCs Use Items mod, to allow enemies to use different cams in combat. There are also different faction-based modifiers this mod introduces, like giving raiders worse accuracy, since they are usually on cams and have limited perception of their surroundings. There are a lot of different combat behaviors this mod adds to different factions, different weapons and cam-based situations. So all in all, together, this mod really enhances the combat AI and is supposed to deliver a completely new combat experience. But now it's going to get even more serious. REAL.AI. I mean, now we are definitely gonna wipe out all organic life forms. I mean, I could definitely believe that an AI wrote this description. Just look at this. REAL.AI recalibrates millions of engine-level subroutines using holographic NASA-grade laser super technology in order to make Fallout 4 NPCs behave more organically by removing a lot of limitations left over from the console port. Experience Fallout 4's AI at its full potential. I mean, this mod is apparently so great even Pablo Picasso tried it out. Do you really think this man is capable of lying? So what does this mod actually do? Well, I'm not gonna pretend that my limited brain capacity is anywhere enough to understand its complexity, but I'm gonna say one thing. The people who made this are probably better off writing novels. And by novels I mean Facebook level bait posts, because this is the kind of energy this so-called description is giving off. According to the description, this mod does exactly the same thing as the previous mod, just way more vaguely presented, and with lots and lots of over-dramatization and meme approach that does not really give any decent details about this mod's features, but instead tries to hide behind big words and metaphors like Bethesda gave NPCs a series of invisible barriers that blocked their senses, meaning that they were essentially existing in a kind of bubble. This mod removes that bubble. Oh my god. Hashtag remove the bubble. Hashtag save NPCs. I don't even know what to say here. Try this mod, try the previous one, try both at the same time, and see which of those three possibilities gives you the most appealing NPC combat behavior. Case closed. Anyway, the next mod is much easier to explain and also to show. Faster Workbench exit. And this mod does, guess what? Well, if you guessed a faster way to exit workbenches, then congratulations, you guessed right. Feel free to pat yourself on the shoulder or something, go eat an ice cream. And it works really well. It just works. to put it in Bastion. The only thing that is still kinda slow is that seated cooking station. Here the animation is different, so it is still kinda slow. But I mean, the other cooking station looks much cooler anyway. Okay, next we have a couple of mention-worthy armor mods, Vtaw Wardrobe 9 and Gunner Armor Expansion. Well, the Vtaw mod series certainly needs no introduction. This modder has brought us a lot of high-quality outfits over the years, and it's certainly not different with this 9th mod pack. So once again, it's a huge mod with a lot of different highly modular outfits, different mashup possibilities, different materials, and as usual, all that only for females. Well, anyway, here are some examples. Also, as usual, you will definitely recognize some outfits from famous games. But if you want something more tactical, there's also always the Gunner Armor Expansion. This is a real treat for tactical outfit lovers. First of all the outfits are available for both genders. And then there is also the crazy customization. There is really a lot of it here. All the items included: outfits, gloves, headgears and backpacks. Everything is highly customizable. However, here instead of separate parts you can mash up, instead you just go to the armor workbench and select the different options there. And yes, as already mentioned, there is a crazy amount of options you can mess around with for this mod. Okay, and now we have something really big. America Rising 2, Legacy of the Enclave. Finally a continuation of that. Wait, have I reviewed the first part? Doesn't look like it. It came out before I started making Fallout videos. So yeah, the continuation of that storyline, which is very, very American, I'm sure. Anyway, this is an almost DLC-sized mod with a 24 quests storyline, over 8,000 lines of voiced dialogue, and much more. Also, you don't need America Rising 1, this is actually a standalone, so to get this started, it happens automatically after you fast travel. There will be a new distress signal from Vault 111, but not our Vault 111. Turns out there was another one right around the corner.
Attention, all Vault Tech personnel. A reactor failure is imminent in the Vault 111 government facility. Immediate action is required. There are multiple lives at risk.
So, being the aspiring hero that we are, we obviously have to lend a hand. Well, inside we have to first do some pointy-shooty stuff with some raiders, you know, the usual, but then we get to the actual vault, and it turns out there were more frozen people in this one. This is cool, kinda like in the Fallout series.
Who are you? General Russell Ward of the United States Army. Now, you're trespassing on a military installation, so I insist you answer my question.
I'm from Vault 111.
What, from the civilian wing? Interesting.
So obviously those guys will be a bit freaked out, like, oh no, 200 years have passed. And yes, those people are obviously remnants of the American government and are going to become the Enclave. It is really like in the Fallout series. So obviously they want to rebuild and also to recruit you in their ranks.
Surely you understand the merits of serving your country. You can join us in rebuilding it, or you can turn your back on it as a traitor. Just know that you're either with us, or you're against us.
Yes, there are two ways to do this quest line. You either join the Enclave or destroy them with one of the vanilla factions. This is the cool thing, this mod really blends into the game seamlessly and is obviously absolutely lore friendly. A very nice integration into the game, and this is, as already mentioned, quite a huge mod with lots of cool features. It adds a couple of new followers, new world spaces, lots of Enclave-based equipment and decorations for your settlements, new random encounters for the world, a new Enclave radio station with music and chatter, and also some repeatable Radiant quests. So in other words, really the full palette. If you are looking for a cool new adventure in Fallout, you definitely found it. And this is it for this episode. The links to all mods are as always in the description below. If you enjoyed this review, feel free to check out our other videos. We really have like hundreds of reviews and other crap on the channel. We also have buttons, try pressing those, it's fun too. And also thank you all for watching, and see you around.